I rise in support of my Amendment 106, which prevents the Department of Labor from carrying out the environmental justice grant activities described in its 2022 Climate Adaptation Plan. Similar to my previous amendment on climate literacy training, this is climate change political capture inside the agencies of the federal government. Since taking office, President Biden has issued several executive orders directing federal agencies to address climate change and environmental justice, whatever that means. The DOL has been very busy in implementing that directive, and in the process, it has deflected resources away from its mission and wasted taxpayer dollars on trying to implement the Green New Deal, with its climate adaptation plan and environmental justice grant activities just being part of those efforts. The fact is that we don't need any such plan, and the justice that the DOL is peddling isn't justice at all. It is government-imposed wretchedness dressed up with nonsensical language, the very purpose of which is to pursue an agenda that has never been approved by this body. I encourage my colleagues to vote for my amendment, and with that I reserve.
The gentlewoman reserves. For what purpose? Does any member claim time in opposition?
Sorry.
For
yes,
what
Madam
purpose
Chair,
does
I
the
claim the
gentlewoman
time in
from Connecticut
opposition.
seek recognition?
Yes, I claim time in opposition. Thank you. I
Gentlewoman
rise in
is
strong
recognized.
opposition to this amendment. This amendment blocks another critical aspect of the Biden administration's whole of government strategy to build resilience, both at home and abroad, against the impacts of climate change. And it's my understanding that this amendment would prohibit, let me give it an example. The agency highlighted certain grants provided under the Workforce Opportunity for Rural Communities and Clean Energy Sector apprenticeships provided through the bipartisan Youth Build program, but that would be blocked. It's wrong to block the Department of Labor from common sense grant making intended to build skills in the clean energy sector for rural workers and for at-risk youth. I urge my colleagues to vote no on this amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentlewoman yields.
While the workforce...
The gentleman from Wyoming seek recognition?
Yes, thank you. While the Workforce Opportunity for Rural Communities does fund rural grant opportunities, this amendment would simply prevent the Department of Labor from infusing environmental justice priorities into the program and return its focus to building economic opportunity for rural Americans. In other words, it uses the money the way that it should. My amendment would block using money for things that it should not be using it for. While the Youth Build program does on face value sound like a beneficial program for development of vocational skills, the 2022 Climate Plan outlines how skills can be developed for demand in industries, including the clean energy sector. The reality is that it is a misapplication of funds and it is being used inappropriately. When outlining its so-called environmental justice work, the DOL's climate plan references a strategic investment. But such waste of resources isn't an investment at all. It is a colossal waste of taxpayer money. Madam Chair, the Department of Labor is dedicating limited resources, manpower, and money towards implementing the left's climate change agenda, while the very American citizens on whose behalf it is supposed to be advocating, the working man, lose ground every day. With inflation eating away at their buying power, individuals having to give up on work, and intergenerational government dependency being some of the fallout related to those policies. A vote for my amendment is a vote for sending a message to the Department of Labor and any federal agency engaged in pushing radical climate change initiatives. It is time for the DOL to focus on the job the American people expect it to do. And with that, I yield back.
The gentlewoman yields. The question is on the amendment offered by a gentlewoman from Wyoming. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the amendment is agreed to.